Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Rebecca Roberts.
And I'm Yochanan El Rom.
In our top story, the Jewish state has inaugurated its embassy in Turkmenistan, just 10 miles from the Iranian border. Israel's Foreign Minister Eli Cohen was in Ashgabat for the ribbon-cutting ceremony. He is the first Israeli minister to visit the Central Asian country in nearly 30 years. Cohen praised the advancement in diplomatic ties, saying, "We look forward to a new era of close relations with Turkmenistan." He added that no doubt both countries will benefit from greater cooperation. The new Israeli embassy will be its closest to the hardline Islamic Republic, which has repeatedly threatened to wipe Israel off the map. Iran's rapidly advancing nuclear weapons program poses a grave threat to the Jewish state, and Jerusalem has warned that it will not allow the radical dictatorship to obtain an atomic bomb.
Israel's Foreign Minister Eli Cohen was in Azerbaijan recently, where he met with his Azeri counterparts to discuss regional security and the Iranian nuclear program, which poses a threat to the entire Middle East. While in Baku, Cohen also signed an environmental protection agreement. Israel's foreign ministry told the Jerusalem Post that the accord focuses on several areas of collaboration, including air quality, water and waste management, climate mitigation and adaptation measures, the prevention of land degradation, and the promotion of environmental technologies. Cohen said this and other agreements will significantly increase the economic potential between Israel and Azerbaijan.
Israel is reportedly preparing to test a missile warning system in Ukraine. The Walla news agency quoted several unnamed Israeli and Ukrainian officials as saying that representatives with the Homefront Command have met with Ukrainian experts to finalize the deployment of the warning system. The reports noted that the mechanism will not have interception capabilities, but will provide vital alerts ahead of a missile strike. The early warning system will first be deployed in Kiev, and if successful, it will then be installed in other areas throughout the war-torn country.
Congressional leader Kevin McCarthy is bringing a bipartisan delegation of House Republicans and Democratic dignitaries to Israel. Member of Knesset Amir Ohana praised the visit, saying this is a sign and testimony to the strong and unbreakable bond between Israel and the United States, our closest ally. McCarthy is set to address the Knesset, making him the first Speaker of the House to ascend the Knesset plenum since 1998.
A bipartisan bill proposed in the United States House of Representatives calls to honor 75 years of the U.S.-Israeli partnership. 4 Abraham Accords caucus leaders proposed the measure, which recognizes the long-standing relationship between America and Israel. Democratic Congresswoman Kathy Manning from North Carolina co-sponsored the resolution with Representative Brad Schneider from Illinois, Ann Wagner from Missouri, and Michael McCall from Texas. Manning pointed out that for 75 years, the United States and Israel have built an extraordinary and enduring alliance based on our shared interests and fundamental values. She stressed that Israel is our most important, most reliable, and only democratic ally in the region.
Germany has announced that it will establish a panel to examine the events surrounding the 1972 Munich Olympic massacre. This internal commission of experts will review the circumstances leading up to and including the abduction and murder of 11 Israeli athletes by Palestinian terrorists. This comes as a result of an agreement made by the bereaved family members of the slain Israeli Olympians. Germany's Interior Minister, Nancy Faeser, said the panel will rigorously examine the period before and after the massacre. She went on to say that it is important that their work address the treatment of the families after the attack. In a ceremony marking 50 years since that fateful tragedy, German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier apologized for multiple failures by his country before, during, and after that attack. Anki Spitzer, the widow of Israeli fencing coach Andre Spitzer, spoke for the victims' families, saying they are very pleased that their request to open the archives and establish a commission of historians has been honored.
North Dakota has passed a law against doing business with companies participating in the anti-Israel boycott, divest, and sanctions movement. Governor Doug Burgum signed the new law, making North Dakota the 35th state to pass anti-BDS legislation. William Daroff, the CEO of the Conference of Presidents of Major American Jewish Organizations, explained that the BDS movement and its organizers do not seek peace in the Middle East, but rather to destroy Israel and the promise of the Jewish homeland through targeted economic warfare.
Winds of change could be blowing through Iran following the recent visit to Israel by Reza Pahlavi, the exiled crown prince of Iran and the son of the last Shah. A crowd at an indoor football match began chanting pro-Israel slogans. Despite radical mullahs in attendance, spectators expressed their anger at the current ruling extremist regime by shouting, "Down with Palestine! Long live Israel!" Many Iranians resent their government giving financial support to Palestinian terrorist organizations and other proxy militias like Hezbollah, instead of funding much-needed projects in their own country that would benefit the people of Iran.
A delegation of Palestinian officials, including terror leader Mahmoud Abbas, met with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Jeddah to discuss strengthening Palestinian ties with Saudi Arabia. The visit comes after a group of Hamas terror chiefs were hosted in the Royal Kingdom during Ramadan. Normalizing relations with Saudi Arabia has been a top priority for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and many believe that Saudi Arabia would be the next country to join the Abraham Accords. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham was in Saudi Arabia recently, where he attempted to restart the negotiations for a peace agreement between Jerusalem and Riyadh. He stressed that despite the Gulf states' recent agreement with Iran, peace with Israel is not off the table, and that the Saudis indicated that they would move forward with Israel if the right conditions are met.
Jewish groups have erected an interactive display in Times Square, New York, to raise Holocaust awareness and to educate the public about the dangers of anti-Semitism. The organizations provided a replica of a cattle car used to transport Jews to concentration camps during the Holocaust. Visitors are able to enter the boxcar and view an interactive multimedia presentation. This comes amid a troubling spike in anti-Semitic attacks across America. Organizers said visitors have displayed little to no knowledge about the genocide. The Times of Israel cited a 2020 survey which found that the majority of New Yorkers do not know that 6 million Jews were murdered in the Holocaust and could not name even a single concentration camp.
Millions of Arabs visited the Temple Mount in Jerusalem during the month of Ramadan. Some 50,000 Muslims attended Friday prayers on Eid al-Fitr, which marked the end of the Islamic month of fasting. Muslim extremists attempted to spark riots by disseminating false information, claiming that the Israeli police were attempting to prevent Muslims from praying at the Al-Aqsa Mosque, but Israel's security forces were able to maintain relative calm at the site. The Islamic Waqf, which controls the Temple Mount, announced that more than 4 million Arabs ascended Mount Moriah during the holiday. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu released a video wishing the Muslim citizens of Israel and all Muslims around the world a happy Eid al-Fitr.
Researchers at Hebrew University in Jerusalem have announced they've developed a strain of drought-resistant tomatoes. The Israeli scientists crossbred a wild tomato found in the deserts of Peru with a modern tomato to develop a strain that can withstand drought conditions. This new variety not only consumes less water than other strains, it also increases its yield in extreme weather conditions. The project was led by doctoral student Shai Torgerman and Professor Emeritus Danny Zamir from Hebrew University's Faculty of Agriculture, Food, and Environment.
The U.S. State Department has offered a $7 million reward for information leading to the arrest of Hezbollah leader Ibrahim Aqil. The wanted terrorist is a principal member of the Jihad Council, Hezbollah's highest military body, which is responsible for the 1983 bombings of the U.S. Embassy and the Marine barracks in Beirut, which collectively claimed the lives of 304 U.S. citizens and military personnel. In 2021, the U.S. Treasury Department released a statement saying that Aqil played a vital role in Hezbollah's military campaign in Syria by aiding Hezbollah fighters and pro-Syrian regime troops against Syrian oppression forces in battles inside of Syria. The State Department's reward was posted on the 40th anniversary of the bombing of the U.S. Embassy in Beirut and notes that anyone with information on Aqil should contact its Rewards for Justice program.
Bereaved husband and father, Rabbi Leo D., recited the Yizkor Mourner's Prayer at Israel's National Independence Day event. Dee's wife Lucy and their daughters, 20-year-old Maya and 15-year-old Rena, were murdered by Palestinian terrorists earlier this month. Hundreds of people attended the memorial ceremony for the women whose senseless murders shook Israel to its core. Rabbi Dee called for unity in the face of Palestinian terror, which he said aims to destroy our lives in an instant.
Israel has inaugurated a massive solar project in the Jezreel Valley, which will power more than 60,000 homes by next year. Terralight, the Israeli renewable energy company, launched the Tanakh program, which is the Jewish state's largest solar project to date. Ronnie Lifshitz, the CEO of Terralight, said his company is in the process of establishing solar projects and storage facilities, which are expected to be connected to the grid gradually over the next 3 years. Idit Silman, Israel's environmental protection minister, praised the initiative, saying that it will flow clean solar electricity into the high-voltage transmission network and contribute significantly to increasing production rates from renewable energies, as well as reducing greenhouse gas emissions and air pollutants in Israel. That concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein, and we're here in our beautiful studio in Jerusalem. My guest today is Heinz Royce. He's the International Director of March of Life. Heinz, thank you for being on the show.
It's great to be here.
Tell our viewers a little bit about what is March of Life.
The March of Life is an international movement that started 15 years ago in Tübingen in southern Germany. And now we're doing marches for Israel against anti-Semitism, remembering the Shoah worldwide each year around Yom HaShoah in about 100 cities.
This is a very interesting movement. It started as a church movement, and people are joining all over the world. Why was it important to not just remember the Holocaust, but also stand with Israel?
I think the issue today about anti-Semitism is anti-Israelism. People standing against Israel who say that they like Jews, but they're against Israel. But actually, this is the modern kind of anti-Semitism. So if we stand up publicly against anti-Semitism, I think the only effective way we can do it is also stand with Israel. And that's what we do with the March of Life.
Well, you're doing something really big for the 75th anniversary of Israel called the March of Nations. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so what we do is we invite all the people who are on the streets worldwide with the March of Life, but also who love Israel, to come to Israel for Israel's 75th birthday, which is in May 2023, for a huge March of the Nations here in Jerusalem. And we're going to walk through Jerusalem, have a final event at Safra Square, and this is going to be an awesome thing. We're going to combine it with a conference before, so people can join in that for all our Christian friends, and this is going to be amazing.
It's really unbelievable because you're flying 2,000 people here from all over the world to march down the streets of Jerusalem and stand with Israel for the 75th anniversary. But what about people who are already here? Can they join?
Absolutely, they can join. So you can just come to Safra, to Gan Saker on May 16th. That's going to be the date of the march, and join us there. We'll gather around 4 o'clock, and we'll start the march at 5 o'clock. So everyone can join in, and you can also go to our website www.marchofthenations.com. You can find out all the details. Also, how to join the conference before, because that's also going to be amazing. We're going to have an amazing time speaking about Christian anti-Semitism, teaching about that. Also, a time of prayer and worship. So we invite for that. For this as well.
And now you are having the big event in Jerusalem, but you have marches all over the world. You have them in Colombia, you have them in Berlin, you have them in France, you have them in America. Why marching?
Our background is that we are from Tübingen, a small town in southern Germany, and this is a city that has a very bad anti-Semitic history during the Nazi time. And many of us found out that actually we are descendants of Nazi perpetrators. And in our own families, we found out we are descendants of anti-Semites, people who were persecuting, killing Jews. And this is something that shook us very deeply. And from that movement of facing this truth of our families, we started to do these public marches marches. First of all, as a kind of remembrance march, but we realized this is really important, getting together with Holocaust survivors, second and third generation Jewish communities locally, and together showing we're remembering the Shoah, but also learning the lessons for today, and also do that publicly, not only in the form of churches inside. It's great to do events in churches inside, but we need to bring this message to the streets so people can hear it, so the public can hear it. So that's what we do with the marches.
It's become a global movement, so you don't have them just in Europe, as I mentioned before, but you have them in Latin America, you have the United States, you have them in Africa and different places like that. Why is it important for people who don't have the anti-Semitic background of Germany and Europe to get involved in this?
No, I think, first of all, if you're a Christian, you do have an anti-Semitic background. That's the truth. Because like from the second century on, we have the poison of anti-Semitism in our churches. And it doesn't matter if you're Catholic or if you're Protestants or evangelical, you have them there because the church fathers had these things. So actually it concerns anyone. If you live in China or in Africa or in Latin America, it concerns everyone. And as Christians, I think we do have this calling and the obligation to do something about this, and to also publicly stand for our Jewish friends and Jewish brothers and sisters in our nations, but also for Israel. And I think this is something that concerns everyone. If you're from Germany, of course, you have the Nazi history, but if you're from Latin America or from other nations, the anti-Semitic history is there, and that's something we need to do something with.
This has become quite a global movement. Give me some numbers. How many marches have you had? How many people have been involved in it?
It's hard to count because we're really franchising. But last year, like after the corona pandemic, we had 70 marches of life in 15 nations. This year, we're again preparing for Yom HaShoah. I think we'll have over 100 marches in 20 nations. And we want to grow this. Our vision is to one day have 6 million people on the street on Yom HaShoah worldwide with this message. This is what we're aiming for. But I think at the moment, we probably get 20 to 30,000 people all around the world on the street on that day. So that's what the numbers are.
Heinz, there are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
I want to invite you to come to join the March of the Nations. When you're in Israel, for May 14th, join the March of the Nations. Join us on May 16th in Jerusalem on the streets, but you can also still join us for the conference on May 14th and 15th. Go to our website, find out all the details, and it would be great to march together here in Jerusalem and show our support and love for the Jewish people.
Thank you, Heinz, for being on the show. And thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
Up next, the Return to Zion with Karen Hayesod.
Shalom, and welcome to the Return to Zion with Karen Hayesod, United Israel Appeal. I'm Sam Grundwerg, World Chairman of Karen Hayesod, the leading official fundraising organization for the State of Israel. After 2,000 years, we found the descendants of the lost tribe of Dan. Please help us welcome our brothers and sisters back home. God bless you from Jerusalem.
He will raise a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. He will assemble the scattered people of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Isaiah 11:12.
Christians and Jews have been bearing witness to the miraculous fulfillment of biblical prophecy. Since the reestablishment of the State of Israel in 1948, the ingathering of the Jewish people to the Holy Land has unfolded before our very eyes. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bring your children from the east and gather you from the west. I will say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not hold them back. Bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth. Isaiah 43:5. Today, Karen Hayesod has been tasked with completing one of the greatest examples of the fulfillment of this prophecy, the Aliyah of the Ethiopian Jews, the descendants of the tribe of Dan. On October 29, 2012, we were able to bring 250 new immigrants from Ethiopia to Israel. Keren HaYesod is not only tasked with paying the costs of their flights and accommodations, but also with their absorption into Israeli society. There are still around 2,000 Ethiopian Jews who pray daily to come back to the land of Israel, and we need your help to bring them home. We are reaching out to our Christian brothers and sisters and asking you to join us. In this new century, as in the old, Christians must reach out to the Jewish people and do their part to advance the fulfillment of the prophecy and defend the covenant. Help us bring the children of Israel back to the land of Israel. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. Genesis 12:3.
2,800 שנה של גלות. איך פערים אדירים בגיאוגרפיה, בציוויליזציה, לא יכולים להחליש את הכמיהה הזו, שהביאה כולנו לישראל, והיום גם אתם בבית. ברוכים הבאים.
בכל פעם שנפרדנו, הייתי אומר לכם שיגיע הרגע וניפגש בארץ ישראל. אחיי ואחיותיי, הרגע הגיע. מעומק ליבי אני מאחל לכם ברוכים הבאים למולדת.
Let's bless Israel together.
The biblical prophecy is unfolding right before our very eyes. The people of Israel are returning to the Promised Land after 2,000 years of exile. But millions of Jews are still longing to come home. Bless Israel by supporting Keren HaYesod United Israel Appeal, the leading official fundraising organization for the State of Israel. Together, we can fulfill the prophecy of the Bible. To donate and get information, visit khisrael.org.
And now, Shining Light from Israel.
Located in the Jordan Rift Valley, in the shadow of the Gilboa Mountains, lies this ancient city of Bet She'an, Skytopolis. Welcome to the National Park of Bet She'an. We are going to see here a beautiful city from the Roman time. Behind us, we can see the Tel. That's where the city started. We entered the bathhouse. This is one of the biggest bathhouses that we have. You can see we have a courtyard. We have rooms around. We entered the hot part of the bathhouse. The small things that you can see down here, these are not seats. This is what held the floor here. Because under the floor, we need to bring in hot air. That was the tepidarium. Look at this beautiful stone. It's not just a stone, it was the head of the pillar that is over there. And on it, we have here a beautiful face with curly hair. We are on the sidewalk of the main street, and we can see the shops that are here on the side. You can imagine that in one shop there was food, and in another one was clothes, in another one was perfumes. So that's one of the main roads of that time, the main streets of that time, and we call it today the Palladius Street, because the inscription that was found on the floor that mentioned Palladius, one of the governors that gave money to renovate this street. The street that you can see here, that's the main street that came from the northwest of land of Israel, from the coast, even from Egypt. And when this man came here and walked through this road, he saw on this pillar, up on it was a statue, a big statue of the Caesar. And also it was standing in front of a temple. And that's how even the small man that came maybe from the Galil knew that he's coming to a very important, rich, wealthy city. It's a hot day, and if we were here 2,000 years ago, we want to refresh ourselves a little bit, and this is the right place to go. This is the Nympheon, with water that drops down, a fontaine. You can wash your face here, take water and wash your face. You can feel the water. So it's a really great place to be in a hot day like this. Around 10 in the morning, at January 18, the earth was moving. There was a huge earthquake. All the columns that we saw when we walked through the street, when we have been in the bathhouse, all of them were crashed down when the earthquake happened. And the whole city was flattened, and through the years was covered. That's the reason why when the archaeologists came here, they didn't see any of the things that we saw now, and they had to discover them, layer after layer, and find these things that were under it. We are standing up on the Tel, and this place is connecting to the story of the end of King Saul. Saul and his son fought against the Philistines up there in the Gilboa mountain. Philistines took them and put their bodies on the walls of Beth Shan. But that night, the people of Yavesh Gilad went all night, came here to this city of Beth Shan, took the body of Shaul, Saul, and his sons, and took it back to Yavesh Gilad and buried them. Thank you for joining us in the tour here in Beth Shan. Next time you're visiting Israel, make sure you're coming here to Beth Shan, to Skytopolis. Connect to your biblical heritage, to the history of this place.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Rebecca Roberts.
And I'm Yochanan Elrom, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us again next week for all of your Israel updates.